What's up, beautiful people, to another episode of the Ricky Jones Jr. podcast. It's me, Ricky Jones Jr. back again for another video. And boy, man, I took a week off, and I really did, because we have a lot of things going on in our personal lives and business lives, which obviously that's what we're going to talk about today. And so that time was necessary. However, I am back, but I did want to share some insight on what it's like being in business with your spouse, because maybe you may find yourself in this right now, or when you get married, it's some things that you all want to do, some things that you all want to establish for whatever reason, and these are some things that you're going to come up in contact with, okay? So yeah, if it's not your case right now, you may want to save this video, or if it's your case, talk to me, okay, in the comment section. Just let me know that we clicking and that we talking the same language, and we can overcome together, okay? And the cool thing is, even before I get into it, I do want to even talk to other couples that are in business together, just to share light and shine light on this topic in a broader sense. So if that is your case, definitely let me know in the comments, or you can message me and we could talk about how we can get us together on and have a conversation on the podcast, okay? And so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, for those that may or may not know, my wife and I, the Crystal Jones, are in business together in various business endeavors. Now, the first one that we actually did together was our production company. Pursuit of Destiny Productions is the name of it, which powers everything that you see, from the lights to the camera to the mics to our YouTube channels. There's 4, really 5, but we're trying to narrow down to 4, and then we're going to narrow down again. But even our podcast as well is powered by our production company. Now, the cool thing about the production company is that it did not began with all this in mind, okay? We started with the thought that Crystal said, I want to start writing movies. And I was like, okay, cool. And she was like, not only do I want to write the movie, but I also want to film the movie. I want to also be a part of the distribution of the movie. So I was like, okay. That's pretty cool. And what I know, and the cool thing about, again, being married with your fellow spouse that also is your business partner, is you figure out what's your strength as far as, what you're good at, what she's good at, and you all work that thing out together, okay? So she came up with the idea and desire to do, and I know my strength is business. I know my strength is figuring things out. I know my strengths, and so I started operating in it. So I was like, all right, so obviously you're like the writer and the director. I started looking things up, because that's what you do. And I said to myself, what could I do, Lord? I don't know about no movie production and all that. All I know is how to press play on the movie that I found, and I'm gonna watch it, right? And so I looked it up, and I was like, okay, I could be a producer, because the producer is the person that gathers things together and make things work and all that jazz and matazz, okay? I'm not gonna go into those logistics. And I walked into it, I started going on YouTube and start looking up different things, figuring things out, read a couple of articles. I said, okay, this is what they do, this is what I can do, and this is how we're going to make it happen. And so we did it. We did probably I think 2 or 3 movies, 3, I believe. And we even went into a, what is it called, where you have a contest with the film contest or whatever, different film things, right? I forgot, it's been that long, but then so much has happened since then. Film contest where you submit your film, and it's a whole contest scenario. In Vegas we did it, in Tampa where we live we did it, and we were having fun with that. And so that was a stint, right? But also on the side of things, I was like, okay, I'm going to YouTube our progress in this world. Largely because YouTube is something that I always wanted to do, even with us when we first got married. That was an idea that I came up with, of us doing videos and things together. And it's cool because I came upon some old Instagram videos of me even doing it, or advertising those videos. So I'm going to go ahead and show them clips. Breaking news. One Step United has yet another video posted. What is it talking about? Glad you asked. God's love for you. As God loves you, He also loves me and all His children. Go check it out. I don't know if you've noticed, but One Step United has yet another video posted. What is entitled? Well, basically, one step and stepping forward to what God has called you to do. You've got to do it. I got to do it. Let's do it together. So yeah, that's what I was back then, it was what it was. But at the end of the day, I was like, man, that didn't work out. We were still learning each other. That was the beginning phases of our marriage, and we were trying to work together, okay? Which is a large part of working with your spouse, doing business with your spouse. You have to learn to work together. And we really did not have that down pat. So I think we might have recorded 2 videos. And truth be told, I'm gonna have to look up to see where those videos even are. But it was like filmed on my laptop, and it was what it was. But I will say that was a time where it was like, all right, this is not working, and our marriage is worth more than the complications and frustrations we're having with doing these videos. And so we just stopped doing the videos. And so fast forward, it was probably about 4 years later, we're like, okay, production company, let's do it. So we established a production company legally and all that good stuff. And we talked to some friends with the ideas that we had, and we knew somebody that was into videography. We knew another person was into videography. We knew somebody that was into set design. We knew somebody that was into like costume design and things like that. We knew some actors, so we were able to put that thing together, and we had movies, right? Which was fun. I did my part with the casting calls, reaching out to people, sending them scripts and all that good stuff, making sure when we were on set we had food. And again, I did my strength, and Crystal did her strength. She was the director, she was the writer, she made sure the actors knew their lines, knew the feelings, knew the intentionality they were supposed to do their scripts with, and it was what it was. However, we were doing that thing together, and it was fun, right? And then things changed again, and she realized, this is fun, but I really don't want to do this. It's just a fun thing that I know I can do. So I was like, okay, like we kind of went into this thing, I won't say all in, but we went into this thing because we were still working our full-time jobs, but we were doing this on the side. So it wasn't like it was a total shift, but that's a little point that I do want to share as well. Well, maybe not little, depending on where you are in life. However, your spouse may change, right? Give room for them to explore things, try things, and make decisions on those things that they've actually experienced. Because it's one thing to want to do a thing, then it's another thing to start doing that thing and realize that is not the thing that I ultimately want to do each and every day for the rest of my life. So, boom, thank God we were able to pivot rather quickly. I think we were maybe a year or 2 into doing it, and we made that change, and we're like, okay, that's not something that we want to do long term. But we realized YouTubing is something that we enjoy doing. So we started our YouTube channel. Well, we didn't start it. We already had the YouTube channel. So even on the DKUJ, now it's called Palette and Gardening channel, you'll see old videos of us doing like filming at the house and doing, all that stuff back when we were doing movie things, largely because I just kept it on there because it's a part of our story. And that channel itself has evolved now to just me talking about gardening and building things and me raising my chickens. And that's the gist of that channel. However, she's even launched out into another channel talking about helping singles to meet and marry the one sooner, based off of our story of meeting, marrying in all 9 months, right? All of their 9 months period. And so that's what she's doing. So it's not like we stopped with the filming, stopped with the recording and things like that. We're just not doing it in that manner. However, the business itself, Pursuit of Destiny Productions, still lives. It's just now under a new dynamic. But I say all that to say, with doing business with your spouse, there will be some times that you are frustrated at the end of the day, because you'll have some thoughts, she'll have some thoughts, or your spouse will have some thoughts. They may not always align with your thoughts, and ultimately the good of the business has to run, or the good of your marriage will have to prevail, and just stick to it, which is the cool thing about us, largely because we've tried different things. We've done things separately, we've done things together, and this year God was like, no, you all need to do business together. You all need to do more life together. And that's what we're doing. Like, we've started with a whole bunch of things, and now we're narrowing down to the things that actually matter. And I'm excited because we have some great things coming out of her channel, Purposeful Pursuit, where again, that one's talking about singles and helping people date properly, which will lead to a marriage that will be beneficial for them in generations to come. And so that's going to be cool just to launch out in that. But again, like, there were some struggles, some times where it's like, all right, we can't come to the decision, so let's just stop talking about this business talk. Let's stop talking about what we may want to do, what we do want to do, and let's just live life, okay? Or there was some times where I was pushing Crystal or she was pushing me beyond our desired point or comfortability, and it was just like, all right, hands up, 7 up. We're not going to talk about this no more. Let's move on. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be so many things. However, at the end of the day, what I do want to say is you want to keep in mind the long distance, right? The ultimate goal, which is to have a successful family, to have a successful life, whatever success is like for you. And sometimes those confrontations, those arguments, those periods of frustration ultimately aren't worth giving up the peace that your marriage will have, right? And I made those pauses because, you know, there can be frustration points in various areas in your marriage or in your business life. However, those aren't some things that should intertwine with each other. There should be a time for family. There should be a time for business. There should be a time for your business and with family. However, making sure those distinctions are key will allow for you to do what you need to do with clarity, with peace, and with certainty, right? Because at the end of the day, what we all want is to feel comfortable and confident in the things that we're doing. So there are some times where I'm affirming what she's saying. There's some times where she's affirming what I'm saying. There's some times where I'll explain some things to her because I do a lot of research. She'll give me an idea. And the cool thing about who we are, what we do is I'll sometimes give ideas. She'll sometimes give ideas. I'll give ideas. She'll give some ideas. She'll give some ideas. And I'll figure out a way to like grow that thing to a way in which works best in the world, right? Why? Because I love business. I love talking about business. I love the intricacies of businesses. I love how businesses interconnect. I love processes. I love systems. I love all those things. And I have no problem with going and learn a new system, learn a new process, learn a new email system, which I'm now learning, like ClickFunnels and Active Campaigns and Stripe, and the list goes on, right? Largely because of what we have to come. But, and think of it and all of that, all those things. But I say all that to say, I know what works for me and I know what excites me. She knows what works for her. She knows what excites her. And we have to come to a point, you all have to come to a point where you put your greatness on stage and they put their greatness on stage, and you all work better together that way when both people operate in their greatness. If one feels diminished, if one feels lesser than, then the business ultimately will suffer because of the feeling of inadequacy that a spouse may have. But then you also have to be able to bring it and talk about it. Bring it to the table and talk about it, because you don't want time to go by with frustrations that you may have, which ultimately will lead to doom at the end of the day and maybe a little bit of sabotage because you're not operating in your full potential. So talk it out. Work things out. Figure out how you can do things together. Figure out how you can do things with your strengths. Figure out how you can do things that really is to your liking and work those things out. Now, there may be some things that you are doing that you really don't want to do, neither spouse wants to do, but do those things until you can hire somebody else to do it, or do those things until you can outsource those responsibilities, those tasks, those things that you have to do, because there are some things when you're building from the ground up, you're just going to have to do. And until you can hire somebody, bring somebody on, or delegate those tasks away, do it. And stay locked in, man. Have some goals, have some desires, have some points where you want to accomplish, and put a date to it. Put a day to it. Put a time on the calendar. Say, by this date, we will do this. By this date, we will do that. So that as things and time go along, you can always check back to that calendar, or even talk about, let's say we want to put up or send out emails by Saturday, okay? Then put it on the calendar, share it, talk it out, get agreement, right? There's that practical side of things. But then once that Saturday comes, if those emails don't come out, okay, let's talk about it on Sunday. Hey, what's up? Like, who missed what? In a sense, not like pointing fingers, but both of you probably will share responsibilities in the sending out of these emails. And well, let me talk about me, right? With Active Campaign, Crystal will write the emails. I'm gonna be the one to send those things out. All right, there's her point, there's my point. If something doesn't go out, let's talk about why. What was it that made it not work? What was it that made it not go out? What did we miss? What are some things that we could do better next time? Maybe it was communication. Maybe it was I didn't get everything that I needed, and when I went back to get what I needed, there was frustration, and I could have just asked the question better in the first time, so that when what was delivered was ultimately what she thought was what I needed, then I could have executed on those things, but I maybe didn't say it correctly, right? It's okay. Test those things, try those things, but as you do those things more repetitively, you'll be able to then more adequately share and say what it is that you need, and it just will work better. It gets better with time. So don't be frustrated, don't stop, don't quit, because in the first time, in the beginning side of things, it's not working out. No, that's just what it's like. It's an infant, right? Treat it like a baby. Treat it like a new task that you're learning. Treat it like riding a bike. You don't get it the first time. The baby don't get it, right? They don't walk the first day. They take time. You nurture them. You fall. You on the bike, you fall. With a baby, they'll fall. The list goes on, but it's okay. Treat it like your spouse, right? Even though they're an adult, they still need that comfort. They still need that love. They still need that assurance that they are not in this alone and they're not fighting uphill. And I think that's a key part that spouses can learn from. But like I said, man, like that's kind of where we are with things, like just affirming each other, assuring one another, supporting one another, affirming one another, and just being there with each other, knowing that as we work together, we can be locked in and focused to achieve a goal. And there's nothing we can't do together because two are better than one, right? And the scripture goes on, but that part is the key part. So stand strong with your spouse. Give them the comfort, give them the assurance that they need to persevere. And like I said, I want to meet and interview some other couples that are doing business together, because you never know. Like, this is just our bent. Our bent is the production side of things, communicating and things like that. It could be some people into trucking. It could be some people into cooking and things like that, couples are trying to work it out, but it's a little struggle, because it can be a little struggleish, truth be told. However, I believe that with the right people talking, with the right people sharing their stories, it can help other people. So if you are one that would love to share your story, definitely let me know in the comment section below, or you can email me like I said. And as I said, I'm excited about the things that we have coming in 2022. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of like, living that. And so I'm talking out what I'm living, which is a part of this podcast as well. We care to share things that are both entertaining, but also topics that needs to be talked about. And so working with your spouse is something that people are doing right now. A lot of people are making shifts from the 9 to 5s or whatever they were doing to entrepreneurship, and in various formats and ways. And it's really, really cool when spouses get to do it together. So let's talk it out. Let's work it out in ways in which works best for the collective. And let's learn from people's stories and experience. So with that being said, with those things being shared, I appreciate you all for locking in and staying tuned. And if you would, click that subscribe button, as we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2022. And so with the help of you, we can get there that much more faster. So if you're listening on a podcast platform that you love, go ahead and make sure you follow all those glorious things. And if you're watching on YouTube, I already told you what to do. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you on the next podcast. Peace.